This is a video on how I would build a $1 million per year e-commerce email marketing agency. So in the video, I'm going to be going over how I would build this email marketing business serving e-commerce stores. And I'm going to go over every single step and thing that I would do. If you wanted to go from $1 million per year to 2 million to 10 million per year, you'd basically use more or less the same strategy as this, but for longer with more volume. There's really no difference in strategy, assuming you follow the one in this video past $1 million per year, other than you're doing it longer and hopefully better and hopefully more sophisticated over time. If you've ever watched one of my videos before, my name is Matthew Larson. I'm originally from Canada and I'm currently 29 years old. Over the past 12 years, I've been involved in three agency exits. That's Facebook ads, that's Amazon, and that's landing pages and CRO. In the first two exits, I was the junior partner. Didn't really have much to say or do with the exit. But the third one, I was a 100% owner and was able to sell that one for 8 figures. I've learned a lot in the past 12 years, and all I've really done is build up agencies, sell them, wait for the non compete to expire, and then do the same thing. I'm currently on a non compete clause until July 2026, and I work with agency owners on a monthly basis to kind of try to get them the same lead generation results that I was able to get myself. This video is about e commerce email marketing, but you take the same structure and the same strategy and apply it to absolutely any agency of your choosing and get a great result. In this video, I'm going to talk about a long list of things. We've already talked about step one and step two about this video and about me. Next, I'm going to go over the math and then the funnel, then what I do for the offers, the sales, the website, the bottom of the funnel, the middle of the funnel, the top of funnel, and how I would operate this funnel. So the first thing that we need to do if we're actually trying to get to $1 million per year is a step that most people never actually do, and that is doing the math. And what does it take to get there? And what do we need to overcome to account for things like churn along the way? To do this, we are going to have to make assumptions. We always want to plan for the worst and hope for the best. So I'm going to try to keep it conservative with our numbers and say we have a 10% monthly churn. I'm sure there's some people watching this who are not very good at operations and they say my monthly churn is 25%. I don't know what to tell you, but a lot of people are going to aim for that 3 to 5 to 8% churn. So we're going to do a 10% churn here. We are also going to have a realistic monthly retainer. There are infinite ways to get to $1 million per year in revenue, combinations and stuff. But for this video, we're just going to kind of say that we need to get 83,333 per month and maintain it for 12 months. And we're only going to really count the recurring revenue only. There's going to be a bunch of different revenue streams here, but we're kind of just going to count those separately for the sake of this video. So we need 83,333 per month. Our average retainer for this is going to be $3,500 a month, and our average churn rate throughout the year is going to be 10% on a monthly basis. Doing this math, we're going to need 24 clients. It's 23 in some clients, but we have to round up. And if we have 24 clients and we have a 10% churn rate, we're going to basically be churning 2.4 clients per month. So we need to get 3 clients to replace them because we can't get 0.4 of a client in this hypothetical situation. So this is the funnel that I'm going to walk through on this video. We are going to call it the Scale Your Agency Funnel. That's the name of my program. And the entire video and strategy will be built around this. And I'm going to go over every single part as to what I would do. The first thing we're going to do is our offers, because we can't really do the top of the funnel and the middle of the funnel and the bottom of the funnel if our offers aren't really set in stone. It's kind of like the foundation when you're building a house. You got to make the foundation before you put up the walls and then the roof and then all the rest, right? So there are offers. The offers in the funnel are the one-time service, the recurring service, the referral fees and partnerships, the courses, the programs, the affiliates, and the products. So for the recurring service, this is the foundation of every business, and that's what generates monthly recurring revenue. Without this, we're not going to have a stable or predictable business, and we're not going to feel very confident to hire and reinvest in stuff like ads, better products, better tools, that kind of stuff. So for this agency, my recurring service would just be general e-commerce email management. Every Shopify store needs it, so I'd be sending about 3 emails per week, 2 SMS campaigns per month. I would build out the flows as necessary and needed. I would do 1 A/B test on the welcome flow every month, 1 A/B test on the abandoned cart flow every month, one A/B test on the pop-up, and then I would do a deliverability scan and optimization every week to hopefully ensure we're not going in the promotions tab or the junk folders and we're getting right in that inbox. For the intro offer, we want to have this because the recurring service is the most important, but it can be harder to sell because it's just a higher risk, higher price, higher commitment from the buyer's point of view. So the intro offer is meant to be the opposite of this. It's a one-time service that usually they can try you out as opposed to just taking the full leap. Then once you do a great job and kill it with this one-time offer, then it's easy to upsell them later. So at my agency, I did 8 to 15K per month CRO services. That's very risky or very high commitment. So I had landing page offers that was one for $2,500. They could try that out if it did better than the original. It's kind of very easy to sell them the recurring CRO now. It's kind of the same here. So, based on the type of customers I'm trying to get, I'd probably do an email setup flow offer or email flow setup offer. So, I'd set up their welcome flow, their post purchase flow, their win back flow, their abandoned cart flow, their browse abandonment flow, and their sunset flow. If you don't know anything about e commerce, that's probably going to sound like a bunch of Chinese to you. If you do, you'll be like nodding in agreement. That's basically what I would do for this one time offer because they're going to need those flows anyway for my recurring service. You can actually make a lot of money with referral partnerships by referring people away if they don't fit your criteria. With this funnel, we're going to be generating a lot of leads, and there are three main situations where we're probably going to refer some of them away. So, number one is they can't afford that 3,500 a month retainer. We'll probably refer them away, usually to an agency in South America or Eastern Europe that has high quality work, but is kind of just a cheaper price due to, I guess, currency. The next one is they're too big for you. This does happen more than a lot of people think. If you have a five-person e-commerce email marketing company and maybe like Nike randomly hires you, probably not going to happen. But as an example, you're probably just not equipped to deal with that, and it'd be better for you to refer them away to a larger agency. And the third is they need a different service, whether that they don't need email marketing and they need something else, or maybe they need something else in addition. You can do it for something like Facebook ads and Google ads and SEO agencies and get a referral fee for that. So for this agency, I would have at least three bigger and smaller agencies to refer to, and I'd have contacts for all the other services, such as Facebook ads, Google ads, TikTok, SEO, influencer marketing, web design, landing page and CRO, UGC, e-commerce accounting, for example, is very complicated. You can do Amazon, all of that kind of stuff. The next thing an offer is the course, and there's always people who want to learn how to do it themselves, in this case, e-commerce email marketing, and they're not going to hire you for their main service. And if you don't have a course offering, you're going to miss out about 15% of the total market. The best way, in my opinion, to think about a course is by making a complete training system for your internal employees, so one per role, and then repackaging it up to make a course. This kills two birds with one stone because you're making your training that you're going to need anyway, and you're just making it and selling that. So you're getting revenue source off something that you have anyway. So for this course, and you're going to hear these like categories of modules a lot throughout this video, so get used to it. I would have the flows, I would have the newsletters, the deliverability, the above the fold design, what we're going to call the rest of the email design, the copywriting, the types of emails, the analytics, the A B testing. And then I would have time and date based events like Black Friday sale, Valentine's sale, Christmas, 4th of July, that kind of stuff. I would also have a program, and I would think of that as basically the course with some extra one or group help. So we could call this a mastermind, we call this a program, it's whatever you want. This is going to be done with you as opposed to do it yourself like a course, but not quite done for you like a service. So when I try to think of my program, I usually try to focus on getting a specific result or deliverable, kind of with some hand holding, some feedback. So basically, I'd have get your email flow set up in 12 weeks, get at least five template designs for each type of campaign that you can send and just do it nice yourself, and then plan out your content calendar for the year. So that would be my three results. And then I would have these same modules as my course, where I have the flows, the newsletters, the deliverability, the above the fold design, the rest of the email design, copywriting, types of emails. You get the point. And then I'd have two group calls per week, one on one call per month. And then I would have everybody's in a Slack channel and I would give them feedback. Most people are always going to be unqualified for us in the sense that, there's only so many companies in our case that can afford a $3,500 per month email marketing service. There's enough of them, but most people in general are going to be unqualified. There's nothing that we can do with that. There's just kind of how it is. So a lot of people aren't ready or can't afford or are not qualified to work with us, but they're still going to need the same software that we use to basically do it. So if we recommend those to them, we can build up a fairly significant amount of recurring revenue with the affiliate programs. So for this agency, I'd have software such as Klaviyo, Figma, Canva, Frame.io for feedback, maybe. I could be some others. I can't think of it at this moment, but you kind of get the point. Could also have like SMS apps. We could also have subscription apps, um, like Skio. There's a lot of different things we could do. The final offer is the digital product, and a digital product is always something that's under $100 in my opinion, and it's usually takes the form of templates or just something that you could do. So it's important because it serves as another revenue stream for people who can't even afford your course, and it can also act as a stepping stone, kind of like a mini intro offer to get people in the top of funnel through paid ads and content. So for my digital product for this e-commerce email marketing agency, I would have 3 email templates built in Figma or Canva that are editable for each flow and newsletter. So my welcome flow, my post purchase flow, my win back flow, abandoned cart flow, browse abandonment flow, sunset flow, but also stuff like Christmas, Valentine's Day, Black Friday, Veterans Day, Memorial Day, 4th of July. So I don't know how many email templates this might be. It might be like 60 or 90 or something like that. But I'd have these templates and I'd package them up and sell them for $99 or something of that nature. The next part is going to be the sales process. And this is very important, especially as you scale, because you want to have your sales process set up right. Because if you have this whole funnel, you're going to be getting a ton of leads. And if you're getting a ton of leads, eventually you're not going to be able to take all the calls and you're going to have to insert sales reps. So, what do you want to do? Do you want to train everybody painstakingly, or do you just want to have a sales system that makes it easy to sell? It's a very obvious answer, in my opinion. So the sales system will be right around here in the funnel, the sales call and the pre-call flow, but there's different parts in those. So we need to have the entire funnel built. And that means we have our CRM, we have our opt-in page, we have our lead magnet, we have our sales page, our application, our book a call page, thank you page, and all of these sales flows here. We're going to talk about much of this later in the video, but for this section, we're going to talk about the pre-call flow, the sales follow-ups, and the form questions. So people are always going to be added to my CRM in two main parts. If they download a lead magnet or fill out an opt-in page, they're going to be added that. Mostly that's going to come from my content. I'm going to have my lead magnet landing page in my YouTube description and the pinned comments and like the Twitter and LinkedIn and Instagram, the bios and stuff. Or if they've come to my website from paid ads and or whatever, and they fill out the form, they're also going to be added then. So at a minimum, I'm going to be collecting the name, email, phone number, website, and monthly revenue. Those are going to be tagged nicely in my CRM for my appointment setter later in the funnel, which we'll get into. I want to ask as many questions as possible on my form, and I want to prevent unqualified people from booking a call with me. There's two main reasons that I want to do this. First, there's almost no reason to talk to unqualified people or people who have no intent or ability to become clients, just a waste. But if they are coming from paid ads, I don't want unqualified people to count as a conversion for my Facebook ads, because if that's the case, then Facebook is going to be using that data to go find more unqualified people, and we don't really want that. So here are some questions I would ask. What email platform are you using? Multiple choice. Most people are going to be using Klaviyo, maybe SendLane but those are kind of it. How many email subscribers do you currently have? How many SMS subscribers? Are you the brand owner? Are there any other decision makers? Is your brand in English? Very, very important for me. Are you over 100K per month in revenue or whatever qualifier I decide? Do you have your flows set up? The cost to set up the flows is X. Are you okay with this? Putting the price in here so I don't get people surprised by the price. Are you currently doing email marketing? If so, how? Like that could be agency, I'm doing it myself, in-house employee, freelancer. It gives you more information that's good for the call. And then how many campaigns do you send for the month? Just gives you an idea of what their expectations are. There could be more form questions. I like to make mine pretty restrictive. The people who are actually intent on working with you are not going to be offended or, oh, it's so high friction, but it's going to get rid of the time wasters completely. And I really like that, especially from paid ads. So the thank you page is going to get them ready for the call. So when they book the call, I'm going to have a few things on my thank you page. I'm going to have a screenshot with like the Gmail invitation or the Outlook or both saying, go to your inbox now and accept this. I'm going to have a screenshot of what that calendar invite would look like. I'm going to have as much proof as possible. And then I'm going to have FAQs. So when someone books a call, I would also be sending an SMS notification to my sales rep so they can reach out and talk to them as soon as possible. Even before the call, get them ready, start to build some rapport. It's a very important part of this process. The next thing is I would add them to my pre-call flow. So I would restrict my calendar to 72 hours in advance. I would send 4 to 6 emails per day in that time, destroying certain FAQs and objections. So this makes them more likely to show up to the call, makes them more educated and ready to buy when they are on the call. And some examples of these emails or objections that I would try to destroy through case studies, through insights, through stories, all that kind of stuff. Like, this is too expensive, or we already do this in-house, or we had a bad agency before. Like, a good one is, okay, so I don't know, like, are you married? Yeah, I'm married. And you had a boyfriend or girlfriend before you got married? Yeah. Well, so it doesn't work out sometimes, but now you're married. Same thing with an agency. That's an easy one. Like, I don't think this is work. Email's not a priority for right now. I'm not sure if I'm legit. Case studies, all that kind of stuff. If they have booked a call, some of these might not be good because, like, if they booked a call, they probably don't want to hire internally. But I just made some examples, kind of quickly to show you what I would include in it. The next is a pre-call research tool. So I'd have an OpenAI or Claude integration that when someone books a call, it automatically scrapes their website and creates a Google Doc one pager for either myself if I'm taking the calls or the sales rep. This will make us more prepared, and most sales reps aren't going to do this manually. But we want to have information like their website, their product type, their monthly revenue, the ad channels they use, because it's very important for your e commerce emails to work properly, their email and SMS platform, their percentage of revenue from email, list size, who runs the email now, past agency experience, current pain points if they're decision maker. So it would scrape their website. It would combine that with what they put on the application form. It would do it on anything social media, and it would combine it into a nice one pager. It's actually a lot easier to set up than one might think, and it's very, very good to get you prepared for the call without missing anything or having to look through it for 30 plus minutes. When I take my sales calls, I'd break them down into 3 parts. I would break it down into the introduction and information gathering part, where I'm trying to get information on their brand. I would do a 5 to 7 minute sales presentation, then I would leave 18 to 20 minutes for objection handling and closing because every client's different and we got to listen to the client. For my sales presentation, I would basically break this down into a few questions. The first is like, what are we trying to do here? The second is, how are you doing this now and what are the limitations of that? What is different or new in our approach, and why will we be successful when the most people aren't? Like, the next one is, who cares? Like, if we are successful, if we do these emails, what's going to be different? How is it going to be different as a percentage? What kind of revenue can you expect? All of that kind of stuff. The next are, what are the risks? The next are, what is it going to cost? How long will it take? And then what are the like roadmap and what are the midterm and final exams to check for success? I ripped this off. I think it was a DARPA director who had these questions, which is I think it's like a government agency in the military in the United States, and he asked these questions, and I've really made my sales presentations asking these in general ever since. If people don't buy right on the call or 5 minutes after, we need to follow up. So I'd be following up 3 times per week using a combination of examples, stories, case studies, industry insights, all that kind of stuff. I would want each email to be valuable on its own, even if they don't buy. And I would basically follow up 3 times per week for 12 weeks before kind of recycling them to marketing is the term I use. They're still going to get your newsletters, they're still going to see your retargeting ads, all that kind of stuff. But this means I would crap 36 different emails, save them in my CRM. Each would destroy different objections. So very, very important to follow up. It's going to double your close rate. The next thing I would do is obviously take care of my website. So the funnel and the website is right around here. I like to have my case studies, my video content, my video testimonials, and my VSL. The most important section on the website, in my view, is the above the fold section because that is the first impression. If you don't know the term, it's a very CRO term because that's the kind of agency I had. This is basically, if you went to google.com right now on desktop and mobile, What you see when it loads without you scrolling is the above the fold. So we really want to have the best stuff here and have it optimized for a couple of reasons. The first is that's the first impression. First impressions are very important. And two, if you look at a heat map software, which shows how far people scroll and what they click on, upwards of 70% of people aren't even going to scroll past this section. So we want it to be good as possible. So I'd have my logo at the top. I would have a star rating, like rated 4.8 stars on Trustpilot by 86 different brands. I would call out my target market. So for e-commerce brands doing over X per month, I would do the headline with the desired result. I would do a sub headline elaborating on how I would get that result. I would put a VSL and then apply now button that goes to that form. We can't see all of those nicely above the fold. In my opinion, it's not good enough. The next thing is the VSL, and I think there are three main VSLs we can do. We could do the direct offer, the training, or the case study. For this agency and the type of client that I would attract, which is in like the $1 million per year range, maybe less, I would use a direct offer VSL. The reason for that is there are a ton of lower level brands on Facebook and Instagram that I can target with ads to get these flows set up. So my VSL would be like, are you an e-commerce brand owner? We will set up your 7 key flows for a one-time payment of 3,500. This is how it works. This is proof that people have actually done it. I would take care of 1 to 3 big objections. Then I'd be like, book a call now, and this is exactly what will happen. I'd also have a logo section, clients I worked with, like brands that trust my company name, scrolling right below that section. I would have a how it works section. I don't know why it didn't write there. I just finished it before this, but we'll just pretend it's there. I would have a how it works section. So give us your assets, brand voice, and access. We'll design all the flows in Figma with design and copy. Once approved, we will put it inside your Klaviyo account, give you a final check, and then turn it on, is what it's supposed to say. The next section I would have is a proof section. I do as much as I can realistically, but I'd probably have at least 6 best case studies, 6 best reviews and testimonials, and 18 wins of screenshots. I'd also have a separate page for all of these in my navigation bar where they can view more, but it would be important to have at least this as a minimum on the homepage in case they don't visit those pages, which most people won't. I would also have a free training section that embeds 4 to 12 videos, which is essentially masterclasses on different subjects. This is great for people who come to your website through paid ads or content or like non-video content or outreach or SEO or referrals. It's one thing if, your YouTube is your biggest channel, but most people that's not going to be true. They're going to come to your website, and if we have all these trainings embedded, it's going to be a great way to nurture them. They're also going to be much more likely to find our YouTube, and it's going to show our face, let them hear our voice, let them spend time with us. And I would basically make these master classes again, kind of on the same subjects that you're going to see a lot, because these are the subjects. Our marketing's based around these subjects. There's not much we can do for variety here. So I'd make a master class about flows, newsletters, deliverability, above the fold, the rest of the design, copywriting, types of emails, analytics, A/B testing, and time and date based events. I would also have an FAQ section. I like to put 20 plus FAQs. Most people, I think, don't put enough. And I'd answer questions like, what type of ROI do I typically generate? How do you improve what we've already built? You already have flows. What else can you do or add or optimize? Oh, we can do e-commerce like total management. Do you work with brands doing 7 figures or above? Yes, we do. Here they are. How do you segment advanced audiences? This is how we do it. How do we avoid list fatigue and unsubscribes? And I would just go through them and answer them very thoughtfully with some actual serious effort, not just chat GPT. Very, very important. Then finally, I would have a next steps, and it's very important in my opinion. Tell them exactly like what you do or to like work with you. If you want your email flows or you want e-commerce email management, click on this Calendly and book a call. On the call, the brand owner, me, will do a live audit. Then I'll send you a proposal and an invoice. If you want to do it, pay the invoice and book your onboarding call. The onboarding call will be with our head of operations, and we will have your flow set up within 14 days. Exact steps is very important here. I would also have that separate page for the wins. So I get one of my team members, probably a VA, every positive message in Slack or WhatsApp or iMessage or wherever email we're using, I would screenshot and put it on this page. The goal would be to get an endless scroll of things to act as social proof when people are on my site. I would do the same thing with case studies. I like to embed them with a title and a thumbnail. Something I don't like that most people do is they just embed the video and like you have to watch the video to even get the thumbnail. I would segment it by niche or industry, product type, revenue level. you know, result they actually got to make it easy for people looking at my site to find which one's the most relevant to them. I would have a separate page that links to reviews, but this would not be on my site. This would probably be on Clutch.co or Upcity or Trustpilot or Google Reviews. Third party reviews are a lot more believable than just reviews you randomly wrote on your site, and it's important to have a link off site, in my opinion. And then I would have a separate page for my free downloads. We're going to talk about our lead magnets later, but the lead magnets would be based around more of the same. So I'd have a list on this page of all my free downloads. Each would go to another landing page with a form, so they have to opt in. This would give me the opportunity to capture their contact information, sometimes multiple times if they download. And that would be the flows lead magnet, the newsletter lead magnet, deliverability, and so on. I don't think I need to reread them at this point. Now we're gonna work on the bottom of the funnel, and the bottom of the funnel, at least when I'm doing it, I qualify it as, like, some of your content, your appointment setting, your newsletter, your community, your live workshops, your webinars, maybe your digital product too. So for my webinar, I would have a 60 to 90-minute pre-recorded webinar that's evergreen, meaning they can access it at any time. I would try to think of this webinar like a long pre-recorded sales pitch with nonstop value. There's this guy named Jason Fladlien who has a really good book called One to Many. I'd probably structure it like that if you want to read a really long book about webinars. But in simple terms, I would name it the 8 most important parts of a $10 million per year email marketing strategy. And the contents of the webinar would be the introduction, and now I'm doing all those things with the value, and now I'm doing the objection handling, and then the close. I'm not going to get into like literally step by step on the webinar, but that's what the structure would be, 60 to 90 minutes preferably. I would also host a live workshop once per month that would basically be a live demonstration of my abilities. For this, I'd probably design different emails and newsletters for a specific brand in real time. It could be one of my subscribers or clients, it could be just any random brand. So the format of this would be the introduction. I would design a newsletter. I would design an email in the welcome flow, then one in the abandoned cart flow, then one in the purchase flow and the win back flow. The next, I would do the objection handling, like the pitch, the objection handling, and then the close, and that's what I would do once per month. That way you can get a lot of people on it. It seems high value. It seems like it's scarce, so people are more likely to show up, and it's a great tool for conversion. I would also write a newsletter 5 times per week and send it to my entire list. I would try to keep all these emails like a 1 to 2 minute read to maximize the value per second of the email. I would do an intro to the question or the objection or whatever the newsletter is about. Then I would transition to an example or story or proof overcoming it. Then I would do the example, story, or proof of the value. Then I would do a transition to how to do it, then the application on how to do it. And then I would basically have my call to action to a different conversion mechanism because I want to cross promote all of these. So I do a webinar, a live workshop, community content. Some of the topics I would do, like one change to your welcome flow that can boost conversions 20%, a better way to segment VIP customers, why your abandoned cart flow is underperforming and how to fix it, stuff like that. Value per second is maybe my best metric. I'd also have a free community for my agency, and I would try to be as active as possible. I try to get e-commerce brand owners in there. I would do a once per month community Q&A section. I probably would have at least 4 trainings that are exclusive to the community, so they have to join. And I post all of my content inside on a feed, or try to automate that, or have my VA do it. I would also have an appointment setter who would instantly call, send a text, and message on any other platform like LinkedIn, anyone who filled out an application. There'd be a notification in Slack, and I'd pay this appointment setter 5% on any sales calls they booked that end up converting. They have to, in my opinion, reach out to everybody within 5 minutes or less, or they're going to get fired. I would prioritize speed. They're getting an SMS notification to reach out as fast as possible. If I didn't have enough inbound leads, I'd also have an outbound appointment setter for Instagram, LinkedIn, and Twitter, sending 50 messages per day or however many they can. And for my content, keeping the content here is very important on all platforms to convert people. Content is good because it gets traffic, but it also nurtures and converts people at the bottom of the funnel. A lot of people are going to find out about my email marketing agency through my ads, through my outreach, through my partnerships. And a lot of these people have never seen my content before, even if I am posting it. Through retargeting ads, through my email list, and because we've been on our site and their algorithms more likely to promote us, they're going to find out about our content one way or another, and they'll slowly become indoctrinated over time and more likely to convert. My content calendar for basically this would be 5 short form tweets per day, Then I would do one long form post per day. I would do one short form video per day, 3 YouTube videos per week, and 5 newsletters per week. If I make these YouTube videos, I think I could get a VA to use AI to repurpose the content for all of the rest. But if not, I would just suck it up and do it like a man. The middle of the funnel is next. So that encompasses a lot of the funnel pages and the lead magnets in this funnel. So the lead magnets, and the best way to think about them is to create masterclass style documents about each step or part of the service. That's where those modules and those categories keep coming in. It's very important that our lead magnets follow the VAR formula. So it stands for valuable, actionable, readable. So even though a lead magnet is typically free, would you pay $50 for this? The answer is no, it's not valuable enough. They should be able to implement something within 24 hours of consuming the lead magnet. There should be actionable step by step plans, and it should be readable. One image and idea per slide or headline if you don't have slides. Most people don't even want to do it or even learn how to do it themselves. Realistically, they just want to know, in this case, that you know how to do e-commerce email marketing. If you have a large masterclass for every part of your service, they're going to believe that you know what you're doing and they will hire you. If your lead magnets are basic, they're going to think you're basic. You're trying to intimidate them and show how amazing you are so they just trust and hire you here. And that means very, very strong lead magnets. It'd be based on the same things: the flows, the newsletters, the deliverability, the design, the copywriting, the types of emails, the analytics, the A B testing, and time based events. That's why those things come up, because those are the parts with the service over and over again. For my email flow format, I would send a 30-day email flow with one email per day for 30 days, each focusing on overcoming a certain objection and including proof, insights, all that kind of stuff. So I'd have an intro to the objection or question, then I would have a story, example, or proof overcoming it. I would have an application or how to do it, and then I would have a conclusion. And it'd be value per second, 1 to 2 minutes, just like my newsletter. For these email flows, like, it's going to be, what ROI do you typically generate for brands? Can you match our brand voice and tone consistently? What does the content calendar look like? Will this cannibalize our paid ads or improve them? Do you create the designs that match our brand aesthetic? Just the usual things you'd expect, but very important there. Finally, we're going to go to the top of funnel. And the top of funnel is the ways we drive traffic through paid ads, content outreach, and partnerships. For our paid ads, what I would do is I would choose what type of funnel that I'm doing. We've already kind of talked about it. I'm going to be doing the direct offer funnel with those email flows. If I was trying to transition to bigger clients, I'd probably use a case study funnel, but I'm not really in this hypothetical scenario. I would send the traffic to a simple landing page with headline, subheadline, VSL, apply now button, and proof. The VSL would be that direct offer VSL, and I would make it 15 to 60 minutes long. Some people like it shorter, but I think the longer VSLs tend to work better in my experience. So I would do exactly what I'm going to do. So this is how we do your brand voice, this is how you do your aesthetic, this is how we work, and it'd be very long and it'd be very valuable to sell it. The thing with the VSL is you're trying to get them to be pre-framed and pre-sold before they even get on the call. There's no point in having to explain it on the call and going to 2 and 3 call closes if you can explain it in the VSL properly. I'd probably keep the ad creatives very simple and maybe like 1 to 3 minute previews or teasers in my VSL. I'd be like what the offer is, why they need it, proof, call to action, click so you can see more type thing. For my content, what I would do is I would create ideas for each of those big categories. I would do something like, for the flows, welcome flow optimization for higher AOV, post pictures flow to increase LTV, win back flow for 90-day inactive buyers. Then I would go to the newsletters and some of these other ones, the ideal ratio of value to sales emails, subject line ideas that consistently perform. And I would just keep going down. I just brainstormed 5 ideas for each of the categories that we've talked about so far. For my short form posts, I would do that at least 5 times per day based on those categories. I would basically do a recurrent post in Hype Fury, and I would basically do this as a mini version of my VAR formula, but instead would be like, would you pay $5 to read this instead of 50? Can I do something with this? Is there a clear hook? Is it easy to read? I would basically also turn my newsletter into long form posts, and I'd post one per day. I would basically write these for Twitter, but then cross post them to LinkedIn, Instagram, and Facebook using Hype Fury. So on Twitter, it'd be a thread. On LinkedIn, it would be cross posted as a carousel. Same with Instagram and Facebook, it would just be a regular long form posts. So, what I would do is I would take what topics perform best with my newsletter and my short form posts and elaborate on them more. I would cross post to ensure that I have consistent content on every platform, especially Instagram and Facebook, which are very important because people who see your meta ads are going to be on those platforms and click on your profile. And a lot of people neglect these and with terms of content. So people click on their profile and it's dead, doesn't look very good. For my long form videos, I would prioritize watch time and I would make try to make 60-minute videos that, following formats. So review and audit videos. Watch me review this brand's, email marketing strategy. How I would design emails for X brand. Case study videos, masterclass videos, all that kind of stuff. I would aim to post at least 3 times per week with great titles, thumbnails, and scripted introductions. Some ideas are like if you're still using Klaviyo and stuck at 20% revenue, this is why. Another one, why your welcome flow is quietly killing lifetime value. What I fix first in every serious Klaviyo account. If your abandoned cart flow isn't making real money, watch this. Your flows are live, but your revenue is flat. Here's what to change. These are just like kind of formats that work well in any kind of videos. 3 easy wins hiding in your Klaviyo dashboard. Why most brands email too little after hitting scale. Just very good videos that speak to my target market. I would also make a short form video based on which tweets perform the best, and then I would turn those into 30 to 60-second video scripts. I post them everywhere: Instagram Reels, Facebook Reels, LinkedIn videos, TikToks, YouTube Shorts. Try to go for one per day. What I probably do is record 30 at a time and then have an editor edit and post them one per day for me. For my outreach, I would basically be buying at least 50 cold email domains and try to send 50 cold or 1500 cold emails per day. E-commerce is tough for cold emails, but I'd hope to book at least one call per 1,500 emails at a minimum, and I'd hope to close 20%. If I do that every day, one Monday to Friday, that's 5 calls per week, and I could expect to get one client. And if I wanted to ramp up that volume, I could just buy more domains. When building the cold email list, I would focus on 3+ employees based in the USA, the founder job title, and then Shopify's technologies used. For my Twitter messages, I would buy at least 10 Twitter accounts that are aged and hire an outbound setter to send at least 30 messages per day from each for a total of 1,500 per day. What I would do for this is I would basically scrape the followers of people doing specific SaaS tools that, my target audience uses. For this to be Shopify support, no reason to be following Shopify support unless you actually have a store. Same with Klaviyo. Um, I would just get my team to repurpose and rewrite my content on my main account with AI and post it on these accounts so there's content on it that's consistent. That will make it more likely to get a response. And I would use a tool that has a unified inbox so I can manage all of these. My LinkedIn strategy would be more or less the same. I would use LinkedIn Sales Navigator, or if I can't find good lists, I would set up a fake profile and I would set that fake profile using like working at Klaviyo. And then I would get a nice, clean, exportable list of everybody who follows your company and export it that way. I would use basically the same strategy with the same as my cold email and Instagram and LinkedIn. With the Instagram, I would scrape the followers of people following specific SaaS. Same thing. I would also incorporate ManyChat as much as possible. For my partnerships, I would really try to make white label and referral partnerships like that actually work very well. So there's a lot of people and a lot of different agencies that e-commerce store owners hire but don't sell the same service as me. And I would cold email, network with these people, try to reach out and kind of get clients and refer clients back and forth. Those would be Facebook ad agencies, Google agencies, Amazon, TikTok, SEO, CRO, influencer marketing, kind of same that we did in the referral partnerships before. Very, very important for me. The next is I would try to take advantage of these certain media platforms and content types that people in e-commerce consume. So, e-commerce podcasts, YouTube channels, newsletters, blog sites, influencers, maybe even going to events. I would try to reach out to these people and maybe even pay them to promote me or have me on their podcast, for example, or let me guest post on their blog. It's very worth it and a very good way to basically borrow the authority that they have and bring it into your business. Now that we have all of the ideas, now we have to operate the funnel. So, this is hard to operate for one person. I would need some help. So, the roles that I would need to do that, I would need an inbox manager for my outreach, maybe even multiple for cold email, LinkedIn, Instagram, and that kind of stuff. I would want an outbound setter for every channel. I'd want a person to create my YouTube assets and my thumbnails and my titles. I would want a video editor for both YouTube long form and short form. I'd want a writer or a VA to repurpose my content for LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and newsletter. I would need sales reps as I scale up, and I would need a partnership manager. I would hire these 7 roles, trying to get offshore talent if I can for roles 1 to 5, and then someone local or at least in the same country for 6 and 7. Can't really hire offshore partnerships managers or sales reps, but you can very easily hire offshore for the rest for cheap. For my paid ads, I would review my ad account every Sunday night, my cost per outbound click, my application start rate, my completion rate, my call booked rate, and my VSL engagement rate, and I would make tweaks if needed. I would try to create 3 new ads every Monday. So I'd have someone script them for me, I would film them, and then have someone edit them and finish them off for me. For my content workflow, I would have my team create 14 YouTube assets per week if I could. I might have to hire 2 to 3 offshore people for that. I would try to, even though I'm trying to post 3 times per week, I would probably try to film 14 times per week for the first month to film up a bank of content, and then I can kind of scale that back just so I have something prepared always. I would have an AI tool that turned my YouTube into a newsletter. I would have an AI tool that turns it into short form posts. I'd have an AI tool that turns it into long form posts, and then an AI tool that turns it into short form content scripts. I would have an assistant use those AI tools and schedule the content in Hype Fury and a newsletter, and then I would film those 30 short form scripts once per month and have an editor to edit and post them. For my outreach workflow, I would, as I'm scaling up, try to have an inbox manager in South America, Eastern Europe, and Asia for 24/7 coverage. And I'd have an outbound setter for every platform booking calls for my sales reps on Twitter, LinkedIn, and Instagram. For my partnership workflow, I'd probably send 1,500 emails per week to potential partners and 450 messages per week on LinkedIn, Instagram, and Twitter. My partnership manager should take care of all the responses and book and take all the calls. For my sales workflow, I'm going to hire a new sales rep when I'm 70% booked. It's a good balance between, actually preparing for growth and not hiring too soon. I would have them review 3 hours of calls per day for the first 3 weeks to see what we're doing. And then I would have them role play with the sales manager or other reps 1 hour per day for the first 3 weeks. If they do all this stuff and then 30 days after they can't close at 15 to 20% at minimum, I would just fire them, to be honest. And that is the end of what I would do for this video. So I hope this was valuable, and I'll see you in the next one.